Hi students, welcome back. So in this session what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a very quick short recap of the nitrogen family. I'm going to revise the important concepts in briefly, and I'm going to discuss all the types of questions, all sort of questions I have collected. Some 21 questions which is concept based questions. These questions will be useful for your board exams, for your any competitive exams, and especially for your board exams also. Okay, so please watch it without skipping and you are going to learn a lot after this video. Okay, so let us start. So while revising the nitrogen family, so what are the members of the family? We know that it is nitrogen, phosphorus, arsenic, antimony, bismuth. So what kind of questions they may ask? First of all, what they will ask you? They will ask you the atomic number. Now, I will going to tell you a trick, okay, to remember the atomic number. You just remember nitrogen equal to 7. Okay, so this atomic number you have to remember. Then to get the atomic number of phosphorus, just add 8. Okay, you will get 15. Okay, for the next row, to go to the next level, you have to add plus 18. What you will get? You will get 33, right? Then what you will get? Then you have to add plus 18 to go to the next row. You will get 51, I guess. Okay, then 32 if you add, you will get 83. Okay students, so remember 7, 8 plus 18, 18, you know octet rule, isn't it? 8, 18, 18, 32. That's it. You have to add the numbers to get the atomic numbers. Then they will ask you what are metals, metalloids, like that questions. So the first two are completely non-metals. Okay students, nitrogen, phosphorus are non-metals, and these two are metalloids, and this is a completely a metal, a pure metal. Okay students, so these two concept questions we have learned now. Then coming to electronic configuration, what is the common electronic configuration? We all know that it is NS2 NP3, right? So for the nitrogen it will be what? So helium 2s2 2p3. What is this helium? Helium is 1s2, that's all. Okay, so instead of writing briefly, we are going to write the before rare gas, that's all. So this is what next level, 4s2 4p3, then 5s2 5p3. So when moving down, we are increasing the shell level by 1, isn't it? So we know that it is helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon. That's it. Okay, so while moving down the group, we are increasing the shell. So what is the oxidation state? The common oxidation state shown by this are nitrogen will show -3 and +3 and +5. Apart from that, it will show +2 and +4 also. So the rest of the elements will show +3 and +5. One important concept is there while moving down the group. While moving down the group, the +5, the +3 oxidation state, this is a very important concept, and based on this concept, lot of questions they will ask. Oxidation state becomes stable, and +5 becomes unstable. So what is it? Due to what? You already would have learnt inert pair effect. Okay, so important concept students, inert pair effect. Due to inert pair effect, what? When moving down the group, while moving down the group, the elements will show predominantly only +3 oxidation state and not +5 oxidation state. You know the common electronic configuration is NS2 NP3, right? So when an element loses 3 electrons, okay, the 3 electrons, it becomes +5 oxidation state. When it loses all the 5 electrons, it becomes +5 oxidation state. Why? What is inert pair effect means? While moving down the group, what happens? We are getting D and F orbitals, right? D or F orbitals, they are very much larger in size, very much larger and irregular shape. We used to call it as diffused. So they give a poor shielding effect. What it does? They give a poor shielding effect, and due to this, what happens? The effective nuclear charge increases. Okay, so this is your nucleus. Okay, so this is your valence shell. In between so many shells are there. Okay, so this ns2np3 I'm giving in common. If we have d or f orbitals in between, what it will do, it will not shield. It will not, shielding effect means what, it must shield this valence shell from the nucleus. Okay, but it is not shielding properly. So because of this, what happens, the effective nuclear charge, that is the attraction of this nucleus to the valence shell increases. It can attract the valence shell, valence electrons towards itself more effectively due to what? Poor shielding effect of d and f orbitals. Okay, so what happens, effective nuclear charge increases and it becomes very tight. The ns2 becomes very closer to the nucleus now. So you cannot touch, you cannot ionize, you cannot oxidize these two electrons. So that is why while moving down the group, the +3 oxidation state becomes more stable than +5. Okay, due to inert pair effect. This is very important. Okay, okay students, then what we are going to see is ionization enthalpy. Is ionization enthalpy. What is ionization enthalpy? The energy required, this is a nucleus, this is the valence shell. The energy required to remove the valence electron from the valence shell, it is known as ionization enthalpy. So what happens from nitrogen to phosphorus, when moving down the group, the size of the element increases, right? The size of the element increases. So what happens, the distance between the while moving down the group, the distance between the valence shell and the nucleus increases, correct? So what happens, you need to supply only less energy. So while moving down the group, the ionization enthalpy decreases. Okay, so this is the pattern. Apart from this, you need to know melting point and boiling point. Okay students, melting point and boiling point, I'll tell you. So usually melting point and boiling point is directly proportional to the surface area. So larger the size, more will be the melting point and boiling point. So according to this, what will you expect? You will expect this trend, isn't it? So the size increases in this order, so you expect the same trend. But what happens, I'll tell you one thing, BP 45, you remember this, 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, so there will be a shift. Okay, there will be a switch. So nitrogen, phosphorus, your arsenic, bismuth and antimony. Okay, for MP 35. Okay students, so what is 3? This is 5. So switch between nitrogen, phosphorus, bismuth, antimony and arsenic. So remember this, BP 45 and MP 35. Okay, okay students, so these things we have, so many physical properties we have seen, and I am going to teach you the concept oriented questions now. So before that, we are going to see the anomalous behavior of nitrogen. So which makes the nitrogen, okay, very peculiar from the other elements. Okay, the most of the questions will be based on these concepts only. So let us see quickly anomalous behavior of nitrogen. You know, it is the first member of the family, so it has small size, and you know, while moving down the group, the electronegativity decreases in a periodic table, you know that. So it has high electronegativity and high charge density. What is charge density? You see, nitrogen, phosphorus, your arsenic, antimony, bismuth, etc. Okay, so what everything has, each and every element has, all the elements have lone pair. But what happens here, the size, okay, the size increases constantly. So what happens, the lone pair on this size, so the charge density is more here, this much electron cloud. So we are viewing as a 2 dots, but it will be like a cloud, no, cloud around the ball. So the ball size increases, the same amount of electron cloud. When the ball size increases, the density decreases, right? So nitrogen will be this side, so the cloud will be here. The phosphorus this side, the cloud like this. So bigger the size, the same amount of electron cloud, what happens? The charge density decreases. So the bigger ball, the cloud will be, the density of the cloud will be very less. So the charge density of nitrogen is more. Okay. So then non-availability of d orbitals. What is non-availability of d orbitals? We saw the electronic configuration, right? Here its valence shell is 2s2, and we know at this shell level we doesn't have d orbitals. D orbitals opens only after the third level. Okay, so this is the very peculiar behavior of nitrogen. Okay, we are going to see many concept oriented questions which will be based on this only. Okay, so this is very important. Non-availability of d orbitals. Nitrogen doesn't have d orbitals. Then it can form p-pi bonding. So you know, so nitrogen, what is that? So NS2, this is 2s, and this is what? 2p, right? 2p, it has 3 electrons. So it forms another bond with nitrogen, right? Another nitrogen will also have 3 unpaired electrons. So here see, it will have this lone pair. The another nitrogen will have lone pair. So one, you know, p orbitals are what? They are mutually perpendicular. Okay, like this, this orbitals, p orbitals, 3 p orbitals. So one sigma bonding, then sidewise overlapping. This is known as p-pi. So what is that? Nitrogen triple bond nitrogen, isn't it? So this was formed by p-pi overlapping. The p orbital of one nitrogen has p orbital will form a bond with p orbital of another hydrogen. So here p-pi bonding is there, and another example is cyanide. In here also p-pi bonding is there. Okay, so the N nitrogen is capable of forming p-pi bonding. It cannot extend its octet. Why? See, nitrogen, it is very important. Nitrogen can have only -3 or +3, and it cannot have +5. Okay, so why? Because why it cannot have extend its octet? What does it mean? See, for example, in PCl3, how this bond has been formed. Here, this is what? 3s2. Okay, so here 3 p orbitals, and you know, vacant rooms are there, 3 d orbitals. Even though we don't have electrons, these rooms are available. So what happens in PCl3? The unpaired electrons decides how many bonds are going to happen. Okay, so here chlorine, one chlorine, another chlorine. So what happens? This lone pair will stay on the phosphorus itself. So the phosphorus has made a bond with 3 chlorine atoms with the lone pair intact. Okay, so this is the structure of PCl3. While making bond to PCl5, so we need 5 unpaired electrons, right? Here only 3 unpaired electrons. To get 5 unpaired electrons, what is going to happen? This we call it as a ground state. In excited state, we need to supply little bit energy. So what happens? This paired electron will get unpaired, and it will go to the unoccupied orbital. So for this, what is a necessary requirement? You need to supply energy, and there must be an unoccupied room. Okay, this is very important. So you have empty d orbitals. If there is no d orbitals, where this electron will go? It has to stay here. That's what in nitrogen happens. In nitrogen, there is only 2s level. So even if you supply energy, there is no rooms for this electron to get unpaired and occupy. Okay, so that is why nitrogen cannot extend its octet. So what happens here? This electron has occupied here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 unpaired electrons. So 5 chlorine atoms will make a bond, and no lone pair. See, there is no lone pair on PCl5. Okay, so it has extended its octet. Okay, this is known as, okay, the unpaired electron, sorry, the paired electron getting unpaired, and it is moving to another level. We are calling it as extending the octet. Okay, extending the octet. But nitrogen cannot extend its octet because it doesn't have d orbitals. Okay, students, so this is very important point. And it cannot form d-pi-p-pi bonding. Because why? It doesn't have d orbitals. How it will form? See, R3p double bond. Oh, here there is a d pi p pi bonding, but R3n double bond O cannot be formed because nitrogen doesn't have d orbitals. Catenation is not possible. What is catenation, students? Catenation means long chains. Okay, long chain. So nitrogen cannot form chain like this, but phosphorus can form. Why? This is very important topic, students. See, the nitrogen single bond nitrogen. Watch my point. Nitrogen single bond nitrogen is very unstable. Why? Is very unstable because I told you it has lone pair and has charge density. So it has high electronic repulsion. High electronic repulsion. So it will break easily. That is why we are tying it with another 3 bonds. Okay, this is very effective. Nitrogen triple bond nitrogen is very stable and you cannot break it. The bond dissociation. What is the bond dissociation? The energy required to break this bond. Bond dissociation energy is very high. It is above 900. It is greater than 900 kilojoules. Okay, the bond enthalpy of nitrogen triple bond nitrogen is very high, whereas the single bond is very unstable. Sorry for my handwriting. Okay, so here the phosphorus, okay, the phosphorus, it's not like that, it can form catenation. Okay, so this is very important, students. Now get into the point and we are going to see the many questions which will be more interesting, and it will mostly the questions depends on the concept which I have told you. BiCl3 is more stable than BiCl5. Why? Because see the oxidation state here, it is +3 and this is 5. It is very stable because due to inert pair effect. That's all. Due to inert pair effect. I told you, no, while moving down the group, the +5 oxidation state becomes very less stable. I told you, no, this is due to inert pair effect. Then same question, same in another angle. The bismuth 5 in 5 oxidation state is a stronger oxidant than Sb5 because why? A stronger oxidant means it must be reduced to bismuth 3 after the reaction, right? So since this is very unstable, it is quickly getting into the stable oxidation state. So this is very stable. That is why it is a stronger oxidant. This is also due to its stability due to inert pair effect. Due to inert pair effect, the stability of the bismuth 3 oxidation state is very much stable than bismuth 5. That is why it is acting as a strong oxidizing agent. Okay, then students, it forms your nitrogen forms hydrates, okay, such as ammonia, phosphine, okay, the hydrate of arsenic, like that. Okay, so they are asking the basicity order. Okay, so where comes the basicity? See, all species have, these compounds have lone pair of electrons. So we have to see the tendency of donating. Tendency, or it has to donate, no? It has to donate. So I am going to tell, see here, the all species have lone pair, but you have to see the charge density. See here, if you see the central atom, the central atom size is what? The central atom sizes keep on increasing. So what happens, as I told you before, the charge density decreases, isn't it? So more the charge density, okay, it will supply the electrons. So the basicity order is this. It is what? The key is charge density. The nitrogen has more charge density, even though other species have lone pairs. Nitrogen has more charge density. Easily it can donate lone pairs. Then this is what? Stability order. So stability order means this is what? Thermal stability only. Okay, thermal stability only. So you, for the thermal stability, you have to see the bond angle here. Okay. See, nitrogen being small, it is attached to hydrogen. Okay, then comes your phosphorus. It is then comes your arsenic. So the size increases, right? So the size increases in this order. So the size increases, the bond length also increases. Bond length also increases. When the bond length increases, the bond length is inversely proportional to bond strength. Bond length is more, bond strength is very weak, so you can easily break. Okay, so which one can be easily break? So the stability order is this one. Okay students, you understand my point? The size is what? Same side atoms. The central atom is being bigger. You can easily, the bond distance will be more, right? It is simple logic only, no? The bond distance will be very high. The bond distance is more. The strength is very weak. So you can easily break. So the order is like this. Then this is a very typical question, students. See, reducing agent. See, reducing agent means which is going to supply H minus quickly or faster. Okay, quickly or faster, which is going to give. So we saw that in the previous step, the stability which can be break. So the bond must be faster. The bond is broken, easily it can supply hydrogen, hydrate ions, isn't it? So which is very least stable, which is easily broke, which can be easily broken. So this is the sorry students, in stability order I did a mistake. In stability order this can be easily broken, no? So this is in this order, sorry. Okay, so this is the least stable. This BiH3 can be easily broken, so it is what? Least stable. So sorry, I made a mistake. Stability order means this is more stable, this is the least stable. Since it can be easily broken, it will supply H minus ions quickly, so it is a stronger reducing agent. So you understand, the same questions has been asked in a different angle. Okay, so least stable will react more quickly. Okay, so it is a very least stable, it is a strong reducing agent because it can be easily broke and it can supply the hydrate ions quickly. Okay, then comes the basicity order. Okay, this is what oxides. So I am going to tell you a trick, students, for basicity of oxides. Basicity of oxides, you have to follow this one. See, basicity of oxides is directly proportional to the size of the central atom. Size of the central atom. So take this, okay. So what happens if the size of the central atom is more? Here oxide, okay, oxide. It can be easily broken. I told you, no, the bond length will be more. If it gives easily oxides, so your concentration of OH minus ions will increase, isn't it? So what happens to the basicity? The basicity will increase. Okay, so you have to see the basicity of the oxides or hydroxide, both is directly proportional to the size of the central atom. So basicity is what? So your bismuth oxide, okay, this is more basic. Then following this question, I am going to ask the acidic order. Acidic order means, acidic order is what? It is what? Opposite to basicity, no? So for acidity of oxides, okay, is what? Inversely proportional to the size of the central atom. Okay, so here what? Only the side atoms are same, only the central atom differs. Only the central atom differs. So your acidic order is inversely proportional to acidity of oxides is inversely proportional to the size of the central atom. So please remember this. All these can be taken as a trick for solving any kind of questions. Okay, so not only this. So basic order is this one and acidic order is this one of oxides. And here you see the same central atom oxide. So here what we did, we compared between the different central atom, but here central atoms are same, but when what they differ is, here it is +3 and it is +5, the oxidation state if you calculate. So I am going to tell a trick. If the central atom is also same, so the acidity, okay, acidity of oxide okay, is directly proportional to the oxidation state. So greater the oxidation state of the central atom, greater the oxidation state, greater will be the acidity. Okay, so please, wherever I tell you the trick, take it. Okay, it will be helpful for solving the other kind of questions also. Okay, it's a general trick where you can apply anywhere. Okay, so boiling point order. So students, I am telling you, usually the boiling point, if you take the melting point or boiling point will be directly proportional to the surface area. More the surface area, more will be the van der Waals force. Okay, more will be the van der Waals force. So you need energy to break it. Otherwise you cannot boil. You need to break all the forces. So here, according to this, what will you expect is, you will expect this one. So because the size increases. But here we forgot one thing. Here the ammonia is what? It is known for forming hydrogen bonding, isn't it? So here the nitrogen, hydrogen, it will form. There will be the intermolecular hydrogen bonding. Okay, it is a network. So apart from van der Waals force, in ammonia you have hydrogen bonding also. So you need to break the hydrogen, which needs more energy. For this reason, what happens? You have to insert. Okay, just think this. Okay, ammonia, because of this, according to van der Waals, only if you calculate the van der Waals, it will be the least boiling point. But ammonia forms a very strong hydrogen bonding. Due to this, what happens? This is very important, students, please remember. Okay, so due to this, ammonia is shifted to the third position. Okay, ammonia is shifted to the third position. Please remember this. This is very, very, very important. So how can we remember? For hydrides, BP13, okay, BP13, like that. Okay, but it is concept oriented. Please remember this. You need not mug up. Okay, so here one more question. See, R3P double bond will exist, but this does not exist. We already saw, no, because due to non-availability of d orbitals. So in this, what this involves d pi p pi bonding, but nitrogen doesn't have d orbitals. Okay, so that's why it doesn't exist. Then ammonia has a higher boiling point than phosphine. Just now we saw, no. So because of hydrogen bonding, and nitrogen does not form pentahalides. Why? We know that, no. Because in pentahalides it is not known, or px5 it is not known, because it does not have d orbitals, because it is related to d orbitals. It has no d orbitals. That's all. That's why it cannot form pentahalides. Okay, then basicity order. So again, basicity order, the same central atom. So I'll tell you a clue. See, here it has lone pairs. So we have to see the side atoms attached. So whichever side atoms will favor the donation will increase the basicity. So what is that quality? So, but here you see it has high electronegativity. What it will do? It will pull electrons. So due to this, what here, the electron density decreases. Okay, so this is the clue. So the atom must have low electronegativity. So iodine, when compared to fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, down. So fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, the electronegativity decreases. So the basicity order is what? This will be comparatively more basic. Okay. Then order of bond angle. So students, this is very, very, very important. I am going to tell you the trick how to solve any kind of bond angle. We are going to solve the order of bond angle. So here, if you see, students, the central atom is same. Okay, the side atom is different, and the central atom is have lone pairs. And please make a note, if you have lone pairs, you have to take into account the repulsions. Okay, simply I'll tell you, you follow the rule. Okay, if the central atom is same, okay, and side atoms are different. Okay, so what you have to take, so please follow this rule. The bond angle will be directly proportional to the size of the side atoms. So which is differing here? Side atoms only differing here. The central atom is same. So you have to check for the size of the central atom. See, fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, the size increases in this order. So the bond angle, the size of the central atom increases, the bond angle increases. Okay students, so this is a very important trick where you can apply when the central atom is same and side atom is different. Okay, then see this bond angle. See here, the side atoms are same, and the central atoms are different. So what rule you have to follow? I'll tell you the trick. See, the bond angle will be inversely proportional to the size of the central atom. Ca means central atom. Okay, so here size is what? Down the group the size increases. The size increases, the bond angle decreases. Okay, so anywhere if it has lone pair, okay, so you can follow this trick, these two tricks. It will come to use. You can apply, you can check wherever you see. So for OH2, OF2, OCl2, OBr2, apply the same rule and check the bond angle. Okay, then nitrogen is least reactive at room temperature. Why? Because nitrogen exists as N triple bond N. I told you it has high bond dissociation energy. The energy required to break this bond is very high. Okay, so at room temperature, that is why it is very less reactive. Okay, it is very stable. Stability is inversely proportional to the reactivity. Remember this. Then PCl5 is more covalent than PCl3. All this kind of questions, you can solve easily hereafter. See, PCl5 and PCl3. What is the oxidation state of phosphorus here? It is +5 and +3. If you check the size, the phosphorus +5 will have comparatively a smaller size than phosphorus +3, isn't it? So according to Fajon's rule, the more smaller the cation and bigger the anion, more will be the covalency, right? More will be the covalency. So according to Fajon's rule, PCl5 is more covalent. So apply Fajon's rule. Okay. Then N single bond N is weaker than phosphorus single bond, phosphorus single bond. Why? I told you, a nitrogen being smaller in size and has high charge density. I told you, no, high charge density, inter-electronic repulsion is high here. Inter-electronic, that's why it is very unstable. Okay, but phosphorus being size bigger than nitrogen, it is not. It is stable, it is not stable due to electronic repulsion, high electronic repulsion. Okay students, then red phosphorus is less reactive than white phosphorus. If you check the structure of white phosphorus structure, how it will be? There will be 4 phosphorus which are interlinked to each other, whereas in red phosphorus it will be what? It will be like this. It will be attached to, so the chain goes on. So what is the difference is, these interlinkages are not there in red phosphorus. These interlinkages makes the white phosphorus highly strained. Higher the strain, less it is very unstable. Lesser will be the stability, unstable. That's why lesser very unstable, highly reactive, isn't it? Highly reactive, very strained. That is why it is very unstable. It can react quickly. So that is the reason white phosphorus is more reactive than red phosphorus. Okay, so it is due to the strain in structure. It is highly strained. It exists as P4. Okay, then very important question, and I love this question. So the bond angle of protonated ammonia is greater than ammonia. Why? So apply the rule. See here, in protonated ammonia, what is the difference between ammonia and protonated ammonia? Ammonia has lone pair and protonated ammonia doesn't have any lone pair. So what happens? So what's the big deal, madam? What so? You are asking. Same hybridization only. What is the hybridization? What is the trick to find hybridization, students? So please recall. So it is the number of sigma bonds plus the number of lone pairs of electrons. So here, what is the sigma bonds here? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 sigma bonds and no lone pair. For this, hybridization is 4. So what is the hybridization? We must start with, we know that 1 s orbital and 3 p orbitals and 5 d orbitals are there. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So sp3. The hybridization is sp3 for this protonated ammonia. And for this, the rule is what? Sigma bonds plus lone pair. There is 1 lone pair and 3 sigma bonds. So 3 sigma plus 1 lone pair, which gives you again 4. So this is also sp3. So what is sp3? What is the general angle? What is the normal angle? 109 degree 28 minutes, right? And it has to occupy the tetrahedral structure. But the expected angle is maintained here. So here no electron repulsion, right? So the normal 109/28 is observed in protonated ammonia, but here what happens? In ammonia there is a lone pair, isn't it? So always if there is a lone pair, we have to check the lone pair repulsion is greater than lone pair bond pair repulsion. Okay, in turn least is bond pair repulsion. What is bond pair? The electrons involved in bonding is bond pair. The electrons which are unpaired is known as lone pair. It will create more repulsion. So here there is not another lone pair, only 1 lone pair. So there will be what? The repulsion between these lone pair and all these bonds will be there. And all this, so because of this, what happens? These shrinks, it gets away from this lone pair. Okay, there is a repulsion. So what happens? Automatically they move away from this lone pair, they come closer. So the bond angle shrinks here, and it becomes 107. Instead of 109, it is 107. Okay, so that is why it is greater. So due to the lone pair on nitrogen, repulsion creates the reduction in bond angle. Okay, students. So now my lovely question. You see, acidity order. You see, what is acidic order? Acidity order. It has to donate H plus, right? It has to donate H plus. So the trick I am telling you is, you see the atom to which the proton is attached. More the electronegativity of the atom to which it is attached. Okay, more will be the acidity. So here chlorine is more acidic, more electronegative than sulfur, than phosphorus. So the acidic order is this. Can you understand, students? So here the chlorine is more electronegative. It will pull all the electrons. So no way the hydrogen has to give its own electron, and it has to move like this. Okay, so you will get H plus easily from the more electronegative atom. Okay, so then comes your sulfur, then is phosphorus. Okay, remember the electronegativity. Okay, I hope you like this video. Please like, share and subscribe. Thank you.